Underneath the star-filled skies tonight, you discover my disguise. It ain't right, no it ain't right. I've been lying to myself, you can see. Only honesty sets men free. Yeah, that's true. Come on! The truth can bring down walls. The truth, yeah, it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth cements us so, yeah, true. Yeah, 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 yeah. The truth can bring down walls. The truth, you know it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth can bring down walls. The truth, yeah, it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth can bring down walls. The truth, yeah, it's a wrecking ball. The truth. Waiting on a ghost train. Think you're supposed to ride? Standing in the station.
You hit the radio bullseye. and the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey folks, welcome to Sunday with Eye on the Target Radio. Rob and Amanda, we're here.
If you're going to D.C. for the 6th, to look by my rules, take a sandwich. Supposedly there's no place to get water or sandwiches.
Okay, so take a sandwich, don't take your gun.
Probably an UGG glove would be good so you could throw your tear gas canisters back too. They're hot, remember.
They're hot. So just know that you cannot be armed in D.C. regardless of what the news is saying about Lauren Boebert right now. So there's some rules, and it does not apply to the rest of us. And so just know that. I had an opportunity to go to D.C. and a speaking role there, and I was like, I got this pesky job that keeps me living indoors and all that kind of stuff. So
isn't that convenient?
I'm really conflicted. I would love to be there. I believe that this is the cover of Time magazine again.
Oh, it's definitely this is going to be the place to go. Right. It's just the fact that they're going to take your gun from you and no restrooms, no sandwiches, no water, no nothing. You're going to have to walk 30 miles.
Okay, it all sounds so much fun. Yeah. So, but a couple years ago, I got a call and I got an invitation to come and do a photo shoot with Time magazine because they wanted to do this interview of gun owners and different gun owners and why you own guns and what your belief is and stuff. And it turned out to be it's actually right now, I think it's in the Smithsonian. It's a living thing with 245 different people that you poke the person and their whole speech comes out.
It was very well done, and when you look at it, there was anti-gunners and pro-gunners there. Right. And when you listen to the anti-gunners story, you can see with their point because they live a completely different lifestyle than I live, and I have never had to deal with what they're going through.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, if you get an opportunity to go find that, it is an amazing thing. The only thing that I'm going to say is that I could have been on the cover of Time magazine. I could have been in the centerfold, and I said, no, I have to stay home and work. See? And I believe that January 6th, I'm going to be like, darn it, again.
Well, that was a time when you were going to stay home and work for DC Project too. So
right, I this pesky job.
What's just holding you down?
It really, it's tough. It really is tough. I mean, the fact that there's things you want to do, and then the things you need to do, and then things that need to be done, and sometimes they're all conflicted, and they don't.
Well, that's the trouble is that you don't get to read about yourself in the history book until way later, so you don't know if you made the right decision or not.
I know.
Otherwise, I may have had an appointment with destiny that I missed.
That you missed, exactly. Exactly. So you guys later will be able to tell me I told you so and you should have went. But I'm not going, so don't be looking for me in the news. And because right now I think that only the people who catch the tear gas are going to be in the news, and I'd prefer not to be one of those.
Well, like I say, wear your face mask because it keeps the tear gas out of your eyes, and take an UGG glove because those things are hot.
Hot. Pack a sandwich. Rob,
too.
Rob has done the concealed carry.
You can take a couple sandwiches and you can make a couple bucks while you're there.
You could be like, peanut butter jelly. I got peanut butter jelly here. No, I can see that. I really can see where you're like, or you open your raincoat. Psst, psst, hey, dude, want a sandwich? I got the side. Yep. I got jelly on this side, right? Right? I don't know. I just think that it's going to be an interesting experience. It's probably as close to our generation's Woodstock as you can get. It's going to be that kind of an experience, I think.
If you listen to Trump and the lawyers, they say there's going to be some singing going on.
So Charlie says that he's going to be with a backpack of protein bars and bottles of water. He's going to be making some money. There.
Where's
there you
Ringo
go.
at? Is Ringo going with him?
No, Ringo's smart. He's staying home. He is staying home. There is that. So let's talk. You brought me some bullets today, and then you told me that I had to do work.
Well, the old days, you used to have to grease bullets to put them together, and then carbide dyes came about and everything in the 1970s finally hit, and rifle ammo never caught on to that, so you still have to grease the stuff. So I use a dye wax because it never fails me. I mean, you can take 308s and turn them into 2250s without an issue.
Okay, so do you roll them in this? Is it on?
Actually, the ones I have is coming like a little salve can, and you just put it on your fingers, rub them together, and then just rub them on it. I just throw them in a box. I do a couple, 800 or 900 while I'm watching TV, and then I'll go and I'll set up and do something to them, and then I slowly catch up till I get the whole 5-gallon bucket done.
Okay, so now I need to take a little container of.
Usually, if you got something that's a lighter fluid, alcohol, something that'll just cut out the grease, it works really well, and then you can just wipe them off quick, and you're done. I mean, you can do it with a dry rag. It's just you end up wearing out some fingerprints, and
okay.
You can probably do it with hot soapy water as long as you don't soak them in it too long.
Okay, so the reason that I need to wipe off this ooey gooey waxy grease.
Here's the thing: is if you grease, back in the day, the Germans thought that they needed to grease their bullets to get them to function in the automatic rifles. It collects a lot of dirt and crap that makes them not work at that point. But also, too, it doesn't let the casing adhere to the chamber wall.
Okay.
And so it increases your bolt face pressure, which
because it's pushing the bullet back. It's pushing the whole casing back.
Nobody ever talks about bolt face pressure, but this is what allows you, where your bolt is being pushed out the back of the gun, and with the chamber walls holding the case tight, it controls that. If the chamber walls are not being controlled tightly, then all of a sudden all that thrust is going towards the back, and then it causes you much more stress on your gun at that point.
Okay, so and stress on your gun will then, if your gun is weak, if your gun is not strong,
it'll eventually give it up. But it also too, if you have a good gun, it'll beat it apart as part of doing its thing. This is some of the stuff like when they're doing like machine guns, they can set the headspace on each time, and if you got too much headspace, it allows that casing to slam into the bolt face, and then it causes everything else to be jacked up, and it beats your gun apart, basically. So if everything is fitting perfectly tight and all the tolerances are good and your cases are dry and clean, your rifle should last for hundreds of thousands of rounds.
Okay.
And I mean, they say, well, 5,000 rounds and the accuracy goes away, but there's a lot of people that got way more than that. In that, the Marine Corps has a lot of money for barrels. They just say 5,000 rounds we're changing barrels, like it or not. A lot of it depends on how fast you're shooting them, too. I mean, if you shoot one shot and let it cool off, and you shoot another shot and let it cool off, or if you shoot 200 shots in a row and it's white hot and you can't, you start burning the barrel up just from the heat.
Because you're cooking the heat treat out of it if you overheat it.
It's funny when you look at, they'll cut a machine gun barrel in half, and where it's been heated up, the chamber and the rifling will be all checkered from the heat cracks and stuff that's in there.
Oh, okay.
Some of the bigger machine guns, like the 50 calibers and that, they'll actually put like a 12 or 13 inch Stellite liner in the barrel.
Okay.
So
take
that
some
it
of
can
that
handle the heat and makes it work longer.
Isn't that interesting? That really is.
If you bought one of those barrels to make a rifle out of and then find out that you messed the chamber up and you have to move forward, sorry for your luck, because now you can't get through that Stellite liner.
Yeah. Okay. Don't mess it up. Don't make a mistake.
Now you have to make short 50 calibers because you can't put the other ones in there.
You can't do that. Okay, got it. So in reloading, it's all rifle ammo that you have to wipe this grease off of?
Well, straight wall cartridges, they can, like 30 carbine, so you can buy carbide dies for that stuff, and 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, that were original pistol cartridges, 4570, those are not too bad. But like when it's a bottleneck, now you have to lube the outside and the inside of the case, and if you put too much lube on the outside, where the shoulder of the case starts to come in, the lube will be trapped in there, and it'll push little dent pockets in the front of the casing.
Okay.
It really doesn't hurt anything, but it makes it look funky when you got little divots in your thing. As soon as you pull the trigger, those go right away, and everything's all back to ground.
Yeah, as soon as you pull the trigger, it's all better. It's not what you hear very often. It's all better once you pull the trigger. And when we come back, we're going to talk more. In the history section, we're going to talk about barrels and markings and twists and bullets and more of that kind of stuff. We'll be back.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
We are back. Oh, and we have great news that I didn't even share in the first segment. What was I thinking?
You were just out of your mind.
I don't know. Exactly. Exactly. So we have a new sponsor who's joining the sponsorship lineup, and that would be Car Arms, or Car Firearms Group, or car.com. So folks, don't you really want a what is it?
Silver-plated Tiger Stripe Tommy gun?
Right. And
or a Desert Eagle pistol even. The gold Tiger Stripe is...
he's got a thing about the Tiger Striped ones, let me tell you, but I think
when they sell the black ones, probably 50 to 1 on the others.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want an instant collector's item, I think that one of the silver or gold-plated Tiger Stripe titanium coated ones are going to be
over the top.
It's an instant collector's item because they're not, even when they're done making them, they didn't make a lot of them.
So it's it's definitely over the top. Well, we've now got Car Arms as a sponsor, so we're going to have to be shooting more cars, because we're going to be talking about cars, and we know that we already have told them the things that we want before they were a sponsor. So stay tuned. At some point, you're going to hear that I have the silver Tiger Stripe Tommy gun, and Rob has been jonesing for the
22 with the internally suppressed barrel.
Right. I know, right? So anyhow, Car Arms, check out their website, because I'm sure that there is 1 or 2 or 10 things that you really need to have at your house. So okay, let's talk a little bit about bullets, because let's start with, I asked you to talk about this because I came across on an instructor's portal an instructor making fun of someone who thought that they had a 223. They had an AR. They thought they had a 223. They were shooting 223 in it, and in all probability, it was 300 blackout, because when you look at the
when I looked at the case, it looked like it was 300 blackout. Luckily, they didn't do it the other way around, because you can put the 300 blackout in the 223 chamber, and there's no place for it to go.
And so
usually, hand grenade your gun at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So so pay attention to what's going on. And on the barrel of the AR, almost all of them will tell you the caliber and the twist of the barrel. So it'll say like 5.56 or 223, and then it'll say like 1 in 7, 1 in 8, 1 in 9.
Mm-hmm.
This way, then you kind of know what you're doing in that. A lot of old guns don't say anything on them. If you have an old gun, you don't know what it is, the easiest way to do it is a chamber casting. And they sell, Brownell sells it. It's called Safe. It's a solid that turns to a liquid at about 140 degrees. So you can almost hold it in your hands and
you get it liquidy, and then you shove it in there.
They shove like a wad of paper up the barrel to you just ahead of the chamber, and then they pour this stuff in and then kick out a reasonable facsimile of what the bullet looks like.
Okay, so the question is does common, everyday, normal human beings do this stuff, or do we just take it and say, please, Mr.
gunsmith, and he'll do it for you. But if you're the kind of guy who goes and buys old guns a lot of times, you know how to do it yourself, and it's not really rocket science. It's pretty simple stuff, and you can continue to use that over and over again. So just save it, and next time throw it in your batch, heat it up, pour it back into the next one. Some of the things, even if it is marked, like everybody talks about 7.62 by 51, which is the 308 Winchester. Mm-hmm. But if it says 7.62 by 51R, that's a 30-30 Winchester. So neither one of those rounds are interchangeable, and that R makes all the difference, and who would have known that?
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, this is close enough.
The R actually just means that it's a rimmed case. And then the Japanese used a 7.7 by 58 millimeter case. Their machine guns actually used a semi-rimmed bullet. Their rifles used a rimless bullet. And the English 7.7 by 58 English rimmed bullet is a .303 British, not at all compatible with.
Okay, you've lost me. So go back.
It's very confusing. Just because something says something on it, don't surmise you understand what it's telling you. Do some research.
So the thing is that how does a normal human being, not you, but a normal human being, how do they figure this out?
I have books that just show you what a cartridge case looks like in drawings and sizes and stuff like this, so you can make that serial-safe casting, kick it out, and then measure it for length and angles and all that stuff, and then decide that, yes, it's 280 Ross or 7 by 66 Vomhoff Express. It's your call.
or you go, I'm buying a new gun, and the new gun is marked with what it is.
270 Winchester, so it's a lot easier to deal with a 270.
Bingo, right? I'm going to buy an AR-15 that is actually marked 223, or
right.
but even that is confusing.
Just because the barrel frame or the gun portion of itself says 223 doesn't necessarily mean the barrel is 223. Somebody could have changed that out. So pay attention to what it says on the barrel. And if you have an old army rifle somebody sent out and had redone in the 50s or 60s, usually if they change the caliber, they mark it on the barrel what caliber it is.
They'll let you know. They'll let you know that piece.
Some of it is weird though, because I had bought a 243 one time, and it was some guy's name and improved, and the only thing that was changed with it was he had a special rifling twist to deal with really light bullets.
Oh, but improved. So
that's how he marked it as his name in the improved part. And
there you go.
There was no one would know what that means except for having to do couple hours of research on it.
Well, and at least he gave you heads up, boys and girls, look at this. There's something different, right? So I think it's really interesting. It's sort of like the 223 and the 5.56, where one will go in the other and the other won't go in the one.
Right.
So how is people supposed to know that?
There's really and there's really not that much enough difference that the average person would notice. It's built. Ideally, the military version is built so that if you find a case of it in the jungle and it's a little bit rotten or whatever, it'll still work in your gun. So everything's a little more generous in the chamber area and that. Where the 223 is much more tighter, figuring you're going to have brand new, clean, shiny factory ammunition.
Okay. So George says that the serial-safe can actually be used to gunsmithy, remove like a piece of broken off
case or something, you can pour that in there, and then when it cools down, it'll grab that case and knock that piece out and stuff.
Isn't that magical? Who would have thought? Who would have thought that? We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Well, folks, we are back, and this is our guest segment of the show. And with us, joining us today, is John Hauptman. John is the owner and operator of Filster Holsters, where he designs cutting-edge concealed carry equipment, and the Philly EDC YouTube channel, where he provides open source lessons on how to make and refine your own Kydex holsters. So the reason that I asked John to come on is that John has actually made a research, a career, something out of figuring out why your holster shows and why your gun shows, why your gun prints, and what you can do to fix it. And his videos are really, really good on showing you what to do and how to do it. So, hey, John, thanks for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. It's great to have you on. So I have to say that I saw just the other day a video that you had done where you had taken somebody's holster, some brand X, that was printing, and that seems to be in the concealed carry world. Well, at least more so women than men, because men are like, oh well, okay, fine. Women are like, I think you can see this. There's an extra bulge. There's an extra something. And you had taken this holster, and with just some judicious use of sticky foam, had made that holster from where it really printed to it didn't print at all. And it was magical.
I think you were watching one of our concealment tune-up videos. So we had been invited a couple times to join the Active Self-Protection National Conference and run a little class that we call Concealment Tune-Up, wherein there's part of it is a lecture where we describe the physics at hand of concealing a gun, because concealing a gun is a three-dimensional process, and you've got, generally speaking, for most pressure, you've got, for most people, you have one dimension of belt pressure being applied to the gun. And so how do you take that input and cause it to move the gun in 3 dimensions? So there's all sorts of little things that you can do to cause the gun to reduce printing. And then the second half of the class is like a little bit of arts and crafts that we do with the students who, show up with the gear and their belt and whatever they're dressed with for the day. And we go through with all of our arts and crafts material. Sometimes it's foam, sometimes it's like little widgets that you can attach to the holster, and use what they've got to reduce printing. And so there are a lot of people who say things like, well, printing doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm printing or what have you. But the little rhymey phrase that I use is, if you're detectable, then you're selectable. If your gun is detectable, then that puts you in positions where you might get scrutiny from your employers, scrutiny from people around you. Some folks might say, nobody notices me printing anyway. Well, I don't carry a gun for the people who don't notice me printing. The people who don't notice me printing aren't the reason that I carry a gun. The people who do notice me printing are the reason that I carry a gun, or the people who are capable of noticing this, who have spent a lifetime selecting victims. And to the degree that the presence of my firearm becomes detectable, then you're essentially creating a circumstance in which the only people you're deterring are the least harmful people, the kind of person who is capable of detecting your gun and then selecting you to be a victim. Despite that, is someone who now is probably highly habituated to violence and also doesn't care that you have a gun. And you're no longer in a position to surprise them with a gun. So I think I take printing very seriously. One, as a mechanism of, reducing printing reduces your social friction, and it also has an influence on whether or not your victim profile is appealing to the people you don't want to encounter. So there are a number of ways that you can attack the problem of printing. And so a lot of it's going to depend on the gun, the kind of belt that you have, your individual physiology. And there's a pretty simple way that you can get started at home with your gun in the holster and being dressed for the day. Basically what you do is a quick process called the poke and check. It's really easy. If there's a part of your gun that is printing more than you'd like, poke it through your shirt in such a way that it's no longer printing. And then imagine, what would it take to keep the gun in that position? Does a little negative space open up, say, between the muzzle and your body? Well, at that point, maybe you put a little foam wedge there, such that when you're wearing the gun, now the grip remains in the place that you repositioned it. So reposition the gun just by hand, such that it no longer prints. And then you can do things like add a little bit more of a wing to your holster, or build something up between your belt and the holster in the little gaps that start to show up between either your belt or your body, to keep the gun in the position that you want it to be in.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's talk a little bit on the wing thing, because that seems to be this new phrase that they're rolling out everywhere is, do I get one with a wing or do I not? And it's like, okay, where's it flying to? What's it doing? And I don't believe that a lot of people who carry a gun actually understand what the wing is for and what the wing does and why they want a wing or why they don't want a wing or why it's optional. So let's talk wings.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, your belt acts on the gun in one dimension. When you tighten your belt, it pushes on the holster into your body. Now, in order to make the gun concealed, there needs to be something asymmetrical about that holster. Either you need a wedge to tilt the top of the gun inward, or you need a wing to rotate the grip inward. So when you apply the belt pressure, the wing sticks up higher than the face of the holster, or it extends significantly past the grip side of the holster, such that when you tighten down your belt, now the belt is applying pressure to the wing, which is causing the grip of the gun to rotate into your body. And that goes a long way towards printing. There are a number of wings. Some of them are adjustable. They might have several little inserts that you can swap in and out to control the degree of rotation. Some of them are sloped or angled. Some holsters come with a module that you can bolt on that works like a wing in a way. So you can build things up on the face of the holster. Some holsters have kind of like a slope built into the front of them. So in a way which kind of, obscures the trigger guard. So the trigger guard is kind of essentially taller on the outer face of the holster. So when you tighten the belt down, the belt encounters that physical peak of the holster shell and drives the grip of the gun further into your body.
Okay, so it rotates it around so it's no longer just sticking out there. So
right.
that...
So yeah, it keeps the grip of the gun from being tangent to the circle of your hips in a way. And the more you can, the greater the distance between your physical body and the grip of the pistol, the more it's going to print. So typically speaking, if there's like any kind of air between your belly and the holster, if you can get like 2 fingers in between the grip of the gun and your body, that's going to be a feature that prints significantly. And what a wing does is it causes more of the grip to contact your body and less of it to protrude past your belt line.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things that I've noticed with women is they're like, well, I wore the same holster on Monday and it didn't print, and on Wednesday it did, without a realization that every pair of blue jeans that a woman buys has a different rise to them, and so your rise adds to that 3-dimensional, and you're kind of like sticking a pencil on an orange. Where is it?
Right, exactly.
On its...
So there's something that we refer to among holster makers, and something that I've been trying to share with the holster customer base, is something that we refer to as the keel principle. So if you've got a boat in the water, and imagine that it has a lot of sails and a big mast, if there's nothing below the water line, when the wind blows, the ship's going to tip over. But if you've got a long keel, what that does is that balances out the degree to which that ship could potentially tip over in the water. And the same thing's happening in your pants, more or less. Imagine you've got something like a Glock 26 or a SIG P365 or a Glock 43X, where you've got a real short muzzle and you've got 10, 12, 15 rounds of 147 grain HST in the grip. The amount of mass of the gun above the belt line greatly exceeds the amount of mass below the belt line, which is why you get little guns that are uncomfortable to carry and print badly. You buy a gun that's for, quote, concealed carry, and you stick it in your pants, and the muzzle pokes you endlessly, and the gun prints really badly. And depending on what jeans or pants you're wearing, the lower the rise your pants, the more tip over you're going to get. And so you struggle to conceal a gun that's made for concealed carry. If you have a slightly longer holster.
I need you to hold that thought because we're coming up to a hard break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all this technology to John's new holster design, the Enigma, because you can see he's a thinker, and this is a thought-provoking holster. We'll be back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Okay, and we are back, and we're back with John Hauptman from Filster Holsters, and you're going to hear more about Filster and John as time goes by. You are, because he and his wife Sarah. Well, I don't know who. I think it's a partnership, but we'll just go that way, because came out with this Enigma holster system that I am hearing comments about from people all over the place. So John, fill us in. Tell us about the Enigma. Tell folks about it. What makes it different? What makes it unique? And where can they see one?
Okay, so we were just talking about all the various concealment principles that are at hand when you're using a holster and a gun belt to try to make a gun disappear under your clothes. And there are a number of devices that exist on the market, things like belly bands and other non-holster devices that you wear under your clothes that separate the holster from your clothing, so you can basically, put your gun on and then put everything else, put all the rest of your clothes on. However, none of them employ any of the principles or physics involved in concealing a gun. Most of them are just strapping a gun to your body with something elastic. We developed the Enigma as a way to wear a proper holster under your clothes and adjust it in a variety of ways that aren't possible when you're just dealing with a regular belt. Like we said, concealment is a three-dimensional process, and the belt only operates on the holster in one direction, and we have to make up the rest by essentially sculpting the holster or adding widgets to it. The Enigma is a faceplate that attaches to the front of the holster. It's a kind of polymer fabric textile that's rigid but flexible and attaches to a belt that you wear under your clothes. So you can use the Enigma system to attach to pretty much any holster that takes a standard holster wing. And then you can do things like adjust how much the grip rotates and how much, one of the problems that a lot of people run into is with a holster with a wing, you put it on, tighten down your belt, and now the optic or sights print because you're getting so much rotation that now the slide side of the gun starts to print out as much as the grip. Well, the Enigma allows you, unlike a belt, which is one amount of flexibility the entire way around your body, the Enigma has different degrees of flexibility across the faceplate. So you can rotate the grip and also modulate the degree to which your sights or optic are restrained. And you can also cause it to tilt in or out of the body depending on how you install the belt. So there are a variety of adjustments that become possible once you free the holster from the belt. But you're still using a conventional, secure, stable, reliable Kydex holster. So you're not having to navigate the safety or reliability issues surrounding stuffing a gun in an elastic pocket, for example, the way a lot of belly bands kind of force you to. So you use a real holster that you can train with, that you can carry every day. You can take it to the range. You could take it to a class. You could compete with it. You could use it in every context that you could possibly want. You have safe, reliable reholstering, and you can fine-tune it to fit your body to a greater degree than any other holster that currently exists.
Okay, and then, so once you adjust it to you, you can take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on, and you don't have to readjust anything. It's fit to you. It's kind of like when you finally get your car seat adjusted to you, tell your spouse don't touch it, right? It's that kind of, it's just for you.
Right, because you're adjusting it to fit your body, not your attire. You don't have to readjust it to accommodate the pants that you're wearing. You don't have to deal with the issues that arise from, well, I'm wearing my gun belt today, but the next day I have to wear my professional belt or what have you, or I can't wear a belt with these clothes. It's all entirely self-contained, which means that you can tuck your shirt in around it without any kind of clips or belt attachments showing. You can wear it in sweatpants, gym shorts, yoga pants, tights, skirts, formal attire, tuxedos, we've even seen people wear it in dresses with, leggings or a unitard underneath it. Anything that you can get out of the way to get to your gun, you can wear this with.
Yeah, the one thing that I had seen was people that are in the medical profession that are in areas, so that because the scrubs don't have enough strength to hardly hold themselves up, so this still allows you to carry on body and with clothing that has no strength of its own.
Exactly, and one of the other problems with scrubs is that they're fairly light and thin, which means that even if you're using something like a belly band, you're constantly put in a circumstance where you have to be reducing the size of gun that you can carry and constantly monitoring it for printing. You could put this on in the morning, wear your scrubs all day, and then change into a suit and tie without ever touching your holster.
There you go. That's pretty interesting. So where can people see it?
You can join us at filsterholsters.com to learn more about the Enigma. Just click the banner at the top of the screen, and it'll take you to the product page, and you can explore the two different kind of environments that we have for it. You can click for him or for her and see the different ways that you deploy it depending on your body type and attire. And you can also join us at the Filster Concealment Workshop group on Facebook, where a lot of the end users are coming to share their experience with it, get tips and tricks, because in a lot of ways, it's like starting from scratch with concealed carry. It opens up so many doors that now all of a sudden you're kind of, it took us all years to get our specific holster systems tweaked exactly right for us. And a lot of people are on the path of continuing to search for exactly the right setup. So we're kind of kickstarting a lot of folks to, in terms of that process, with something totally brand new. So there's a peer support system for people who are, who might have issues with how do I get concealment with my body type or attire, and it puts you in touch with a lot of folks who are going through the same journey and have a lot of the same solutions.
Okay, so when he says Filster, it's PHLSTER is how you find it.
STER.
So Filster holster. Well, how long did it take you to come up with this Enigma and get it out? I mean, this has got to be it's not a quick journey.
The Enigma is the result of a collaboration between Filster and a friend of mine who runs a company called Runcible Works. And for a number of years, my friend Jules has been making these handmade, bespoke, totally custom concealment systems that you wear under your clothing. And they are labor-intensive and experimental and very forward-thinking in terms of the technology and the applications in there. And 2 years ago, I asked him, how can we help you make this a reality for the masses? And we sat down with this project and we started working on it with like a blank sheet of paper. How are we going to take your knowledge of materials and concealment and get this out of a one-at-a-time kind of product into a something that you can give to everyone? And we have been working on it for about a year and a half, when doing all sorts of stuff, like Velcro pouches and all sorts of different materials, and trying to figure out how to make it universal and modular and work for everyone. And I was working on another project, and Sarah came into the room, picked up a scrap of material that I had, cut out this sort of boomerang-shaped thing, bolted it onto her holster, and said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, I think the past year and a half just goes in the bin, and we start fresh with this idea. So Jules and Sarah and I finished out the idea, and I think all in all, the whole process took us about 2 years.
That's pretty amazing. So Filster holsters, folks. We're coming up to the top of the hour. John Hauptman, please, thank you so much for joining us. But folks, check out Filster holster, and the Facebook page again is
Filster Concealment Workshop. PHLSTER Concealment Workshop.
You should be able to go there, find John, find the answers, and start down your own journey for concealment.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Waiting on a ghost train. Think you're supposed to ride. Standing at the station, ready to step inside. All you can see, something that you do, was red as the future was waiting for you. Train rolls in the station. You cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. And moan, you can't reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, folks, I don't know. Do you have an opportunity to read The Armed Citizen? The Armed Citizen is part of the NRA's in American Rifleman, and it's been in American Rifleman forever, right? For almost ever. And I go to those absolutely the first thing when I get my magazines, because it is people who use a firearm for self-defense, and it talks about the circumstance and what happens and what's going on and all of that kind of thing. And so it's really pretty interesting. And I want to talk about this one because I printed out one and I gave it to Rob, and it was about this woman in Stockton, California, who had guests over. And so she's there. It's Christmas Day this year. She's got guests over. They're celebrating Christmas when someone forces themselves into the house and then starts to get aggressive with her and starts to assault her. So she pulls out her gun and she shoots the attacker. And then the police come, and so the person was struck once, suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Can you imagine the stories later on? Remember that year that Sally had to shoot that guy under the Christmas tree, right? But it really leads to, you never know the time and the place. The bad guy gets to pick it. Right?
My Christmas, everybody's got a gun, so.
Right. Well, most of them, they're under the tree. But it's, it's in that section of pants on, gun on. You never know when you're going to need it. So I brought this to talk about a little bit, and Rob then reads the next one down, and he's like, no, we're talking about this one. And I was like, no, we're talking about the Christmas Day one. And he says, no, we're going to talk about the Time Traveler.
This other one looks like a time traveler, and it kind of reminds you of one of the John Wick type movies or something, where he goes to someone's house, kicks the door in, and rips the wall out because he used to live here or something. This guy came to the door. He's been working on the lock, and the guy inside had a shotgun, told him, if you come in, I'll shoot. When the guy came in, he shot him. But it was like the guy had broken into that same apartment 3 previous times. One time he got 18 months in jail. This last time he got killed. I'm thinking if he goes back to the Matrix and resets it, and what's he coming back for the next time? Right. And what did he leave in that apartment that he has to be in there?
That's worth 18 months and your life, right? I mean, so it was something.
It's time to tear that apartment apart to find out what's hidden in the wall somewhere.
Because it was something. But this happened in 1964, so it was kind of interesting. But once again, it was a guy who came back 3 times to the same place. That's just crazy talk.
Yeah, pardon my sense of humor, but I just found that is hysterical.
in a weird sort of way, it was like Time Traveler, and he read that and he was like Time Traveler, and I was like, what are you talking about? And then now I see it. Now I see exactly what he's talking about.
Should write a movie about that easy enough if they haven't already.
You're going to be I can't see you writing a script.
Well, folks, you know how we've been telling you not to buy those oil filters or gas filters from the Chinese.
That are wink, wink, oil filter or a gas filter when they're really a silencer or a suppressor that you can order, mail order, you can get in. Remember that someone overseas is not held to the same standard we are not bound by the same laws that we are. They can ship it. You can't have it.
Well, the funny part is they say that the ATF has understood that they call them solvent trap industry. So they said that the ATF has been onto this for years, and that you can buy these parts. You have to do work to them, but then you can use a Form 1 and file and say that you built yourself a suppressor. But the ATF now is saying that just by having the part with a dimple to show you where you need to do the work on it is
showing intent.
That's showing intent, and so now these things are illegal before they even get to the point where you can file your Form 1 to do your paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out to get you. Remember that.
They are. The ATF, I don't know.
Actually, a suppressor is reasonably priced. If you go to the suppressor store and you talk to them, yeah, there's super high-end ones and super low-end ones. Get something in the middle. I mean, you always throw out the highest bidder and the lowest bidder and go for something in the middle. But you can usually the tax stamp is a bigger bite of your money than the suppressor itself in the first place. And sometimes one suppressor can do 2 or 3 different jobs for you if you buy the right type of suppressor.
So you could, because you can buy like a 30 caliber that you can use for a 30 caliber.
And then you can buy the end caps that convert it down to 22.
Right.
For 223 or 22 long rifle or whatever.
So so one is multifaceted, and you can do a little bit of everything with it.
Right.
But the ATF's on the move, kids.
And get yourself something nice this year. It's 2021. Go buy a suppressor. It's good for the industry.
You got $600. It's good for the industry. You got $600. There you go. But
use your stimulus money and stimulate the suppressor industry.
Oh, there is that. But know that if you're going to do the shortcut, or you're going to do the kind of the slidey way, the sneaky way, yet you're using a mail order company, they know all of these companies exist. You are not pulling one over on somebody. You're not wink, wink. They didn't notice.
When they come into customs, that the customs announces to ATF what they have and where it's at. So, anything new and exciting is.
They're scanning it. They're looking at it, and they're identifying it.
They're hoping to make some brownie points with the new Biden administration. So you don't want to be that brownie point.
The ATF is on the move, and they are going to make. They're going to make history with someone. So someone is going to be the test case. And you may become Heller, or you may become someone who goes to jail for a long, long, long time. You don't know how that's going to flip. So this guy may become Heller, or he may become someone who goes to jail for a long, long time.
Guy makes good. I guess you want to say he's a convicted felon.
I don't think he made good. This is not.
Convicted felon who, when he was arrested, they asked him if he had anything in the car that was illegal, and he said no, but he forgot to mention a 9mm pistol.
So he reportedly smelled of marijuana, which is why they started to look in the car. When they looked in the car, they found his gun. He's not allowed to have a gun because he was convicted on a felony drug charge in 2007, so he can't legally own one.
When they asked him why he had a gun, he says people who have been shot carry guns, and he's been shot 15 times.
So I have questions. Has he been shot 15 unique times, or one time 15 holes? I mean,
either way, this is the kind of thing that if he can get it into the courts, it may go to clear, because they're working on that, whether a felon gives up his
right to have a gun. But so that right now they're looking at the lady who wrote about
that law actually changed, because in the old days, say 1880s, you robbed someplace, they arrested you, they took you and your horse to prison, they ate your horse, and at the end of the day, when you were let loose, here's your saddle, have a nice day, hit the road.
On foot carrying it.
You got your gun and all that stuff back. They ate the horse, but everybody else was back to square one because you paid your debt to society.
They might have sold the horse. They're not going to.
Why do you think they made A1 steak sauce in 1860? Because the horse a little bit on the rough side.
Stop it. But they sure weren't paying the upkeep to keep your horse
for the couple of years you were in.
Yeah, that we'll just start there. You don't have to say they ate it, but okay. So anyhow, but I think that it was actually not 1934. It was the next one. So
1938 when they.
Yeah, I think it was 1938.
See, 1938 almost doesn't show up on anybody's radar. That's where the government said that the gun shops had to keep track of, or they had to know their customer. They didn't have to keep track of it. They just had to know your customer. It was kind of a gray area.
It was a gray area, but I think that that's where I'll have to do some homework, but I think that that's where that was. But I don't believe that this is going to be the case that they want to go to the Supreme Court, but he may benefit from it going to the Supreme Court simply because as a felon, but they're going to try to figure out some way to sort through these felonies to say, are you a bad felon, or are you a sort of felon, or are you a threat to society felon, or were you a never mind kind of felon? We don't know.
I mean, I wasn't no good felon. I mean, it's just a
you went to jail.
Of a bad felon.
We'll be back right after this.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back, and we're going to talk hunting for just a little bit. I've been watching people, and it's here in Ohio, and it is black powder season, and so people are harvesting deer with black powder rifles. And what are the rules? They can do pistols too?
No, it's got to be over 38 caliber and single shot is basically the thing. I mean, it used to be that there was a couple, like flintlock, all this stuff. Now there's so many different kinds and so many modern.
They just said one scoop and here it is, right?
Yep, but it's still single shot and 38 caliber or larger is.
Okay, well, so the thing is how many of your friends hunt? How much do you hear or see people that are harvesting deer and that are harvesting quail and that are harvesting ducks and geese and, putting it in the freezer?
They make it harder and harder all the time. I mean, a couple of years ago, they come through and everybody has to have the actual signed permission slip from the landowner. Well, a lot of landowners aren't going to give you a permission slip because they feel that that's going to give you the carte blanche to sue them for something else or do something. So it's easier just to say no than it is to bother to
give them a signed
you a signed permission slip. And then too, there's a lot of people who you're not sure exactly where this guy's spot ended and that guy started, and so you may have a signed permission slip from this guy, but he stopped owning the spot 200 yards that way or something.
Well, the interesting thing about that portion of it is I work with a guy who is a hunter that is not just a hunter, but he is a prolific hunter. He is if it's this season, he's wearing this camo. That season, he's wearing that camo. This season, he's, whatever that is, he's in it, on it, and doing it. I mean, he actually has an app on his phone that shows him property lines.
Right. That's the thing. But you got to be into hunting, even though that exists. And then, too, I don't know if it's free, if it costs you something, but if you're going out for 1 or 2 days, do you pay for this app or do you just wing it? Or your buddy's supposed to know what's going on, and he told you the wrong story.
Well,
how many times does that happen?
You've had that buddy for a long time. He's told you the wrong story a lot. You know better than to believe him.
When I was a kid, we used to duck hunt, and it finally got to where steel shot and special shotguns and all kinds of different. I mean, there was state stamps and federal stamps and different things, and it just got to where there was so many rules. It was easier to go buy a duck than it is to take a chance on going out in the woods and getting caught with it.
And being wrong.
What's that old joke about the butcher where he sticks his finger in the duck's finger and tells where it's from? I mean, I'm not that good at knowing where the duck came from to know exactly which kind or model or make or what year it is or anything.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever heard the butcher and the finger, but we'll stop right there. I've never heard that joke, but...
Well, look it up, folks. You can probably find that on Google.
I run in completely different circles. My friends don't talk about that.
Maybe Kevin's son will tell you about it.
I don't know. I don't know that
to be on a joke kick with
he's on one, right? So it's really interesting to keep the environmental balance in check. We need to hunt, and we need it for a couple reasons. One is hunters will keep down animals. Deer. We've all been in that spot where you see them.
Everybody, even in the city, the deer are running into the cars. They're eating all the bushes around the house. They jump through the window of the store for some reason, and the more if you got that many deer, they're just everywhere, and they start to become a nuisance. The same with geese. I mean, pretty soon you have to start carrying an umbrella just because of the amount of goose byproducts that are coming at you.
Guano. Something.
And but I mean, it's the same thing. And they keep saying, well, the wild hog are coming north. There's coyotes are starting to be a problem. Sometimes people that go and hunt these wild hogs and hunt the coyotes and wolves and all that stuff are doing society a favor, as much as some people don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, in West Virginia harvested 38,000 deer in the 2 weeks of buck firearm season. Isn't that an amazing number? So there still are hunters. There's a lot of hunters, and we need to have them. But the other part is those hunters, the money that they spend in licensing fees, the money that they spend on ammo and on guns, all of that kind of stuff goes back into the Pittman-Robertson Act to go back for wildlife conservation.
Well, and not so much that is, if you're hunting somewhere besides your home, you got to stay in a hotel, you got to eat somewhere, you got to do stuff. So the sheer amount of money that's spent, whether you stay in your own state or you go to the next state over, it's you're spending a lot of money on. Then also you got to explain to the wife why you need a 4-wheel drive truck and a boat and a 4-wheeler and
a couple of fishing poles and a new gun to go with my fishing poles. But no, it is an industry.
That's a lot of money to entertain yourself, that's for sure.
Right. Right. And all in the name of, I'm going to feed the family well. But if you're a prolific hunter and you're good at it, you end up feeding your family well. And so it is the healthiest. It's truly organic meat. I mean, when you really look at it that way, there's not anything.
Well, not only that, but it's really handy in the fact that down the road, if something goes on with electric power or whatever, and we don't have the luxury of refrigeration, or you look grocery store or whatever, somebody still able to get a hamburger.
So that is one of the lines that we use is, can you get the McNuggets out of the chicken? Do you have any idea where that...
hide the McNuggets in the chicken.
Where does this come from? And how can I feed my family? And that piece of it really sort of matters. And when things start to go from sugar to something else, you need to drop back and say, can I live in my house without power? Can I live without heat? How can I heat? Can I live without a trip to the grocery store? And what am I going to feed my family for the next 20 days? And so Charlie says that hunters are the original conservationists, and they really are. And so hunting is something that we need to take care of and we need to protect, and we're not doing a great job of that. So folks, get on it. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Folks, we are back. I want to tell you about the fact that we are now available on OpsLens. And so if you're listening on the radio and you want to see us, or you want to check out the video, or you missed a show, so OpsLens is an app on your phone, or you can, it's a channel on Apple TV, on Apple TV, on Roku, and on something else. But darn it, I've forgotten what it is. But the OpsLens app, you can find us, you can watch us, and you can see what's going on. So, and then stay tuned, because next week we may have an official commercial, because this week I just got the final information that Car Arms is going to be a show sponsor. And so car.com, you want to go to there, you want to check out the guns that they've got. Rob and I have for years been going to the festival at the Tommy Gun Warehouse, and man, it is a sight to behold that they bought an industrial park and then put a giant gun shop in there, and it's like it's pretty darned amazing, isn't it?
Yes, if you're building Tommy guns, you might as well do everything over the top, right?
Really, there is that. So Car Arms and Car.com is now a sponsor of Eye on the Target Radio, and we're thrilled about that. Let me tell you a story about our very first year of going to SHOT Show. And SHOT Show is the giant industry show that tells you everything that is new, everything that is going on, and it's KAHR.com, Car Arms, Car.com. And so the first year we went, and there was my husband and me, and then Rob and his wife, and we go there and we split up and we start walking the show. And we get back to the hotel that night, and we're like, I found the perfect concealed carry gun for me. And each one of us had picked a Car Arms gun, and we'd picked a different one. That was the part that just cracked us up, because we're like, look at this one. No, look at this one. Did you see that one?
Yeah, but the K9 is still the best.
And so we each have them, and we each carry them, and they come in and out of the rotation of carry guns for us. But I just thought that was the funniest thing, because everybody was like, here. And we showed each other, and they were the same but different, by the same manufacturer. And then we found out that we'd only walked 1/3 of the show, and man, we had days and days to continue to walk, because it is a giant show. So there's news out of New York City about gun permits. Their application process and their applications soared. So their applications went up about 6-fold from the prior year. And so there's a lot of people from March to December that were applying for concealed carry permits in New York City, because New York City does have concealed carry. And they issued some. And they issued 13% of those who applied were approved to get a concealed carry license. 13%. And they're like, well, there's so many people applying. Well, yeah, that's because... How many
was it actually? 2,562 people had applied, huh?
No, that was the prior year. No, more than 9,000. So more than 9,000 within the city. And so more than 9,000 within New York City, even in a time when they know that New York City is not overly gun friendly and really will not issue a lot of permits. They're like, might as well try it. But people are getting pushed into subways. People are getting robbed. Crime is going up. More people are getting murdered. New York City's crime is high. And then you watch the 24-hour news cycle. At the same time this was happening, Portland was on fire. And there was riots here, and there's wrestling matches over here, and this lady gets attacked at the grocery store, and the 24-hour news. And
the other part of it is the people who decided not to get a gun are moving out of New York. So they're having so many people move away that they're in threat of losing one of their
so they look like they're going to lose a congressman,
right? Because
there's so many people that are exiting this state of New York for a reason. It's not funny,
You just hope that when they move to their new place and they get their new congressman there, that they remember why they moved in the first place and don't revert back to their original voting technique.
Well, yeah, that's what Texas and California are battling with right now, is that same thing, where the Californians are exiting California as fast as the wagon trains will haul them away, and yet then they vote in California politics in their new abode, in their new residence. So here's another that I think is a kind of an interesting story. Is you all know who Kyle Rittenhouse is. Kyle Rittenhouse was the teen that is from the Chicago area that worked in Wisconsin and that had a rifle when the riots happened in Kenosha. And he stood up, he used his rifle, and some say it was self-defense and some say it wasn't. And so that is still being battled in the courts. The interesting thing is that with all the videos, all of the pundits say that he is not going to be charged with he is not going to be convicted of a homicide crime. That it was self-defense, that he had been attacked, that things had been going south. And so now in Wisconsin,
they've charged him with a curfew violation.
So that because they're going to make something stick. And you were out past your bedtime, little boy.
The ACLU says that no, they're not going to make that stick either. That the sheriff mentioned this possibility of a curfew, but he did not make it official. So there's really no curfew at the time.
So they didn't have an official curfew for him to have been in violation of.
Then the next thing that they were looking at was the guy who owned the rifle. His name is Black. He owned the rifle legally in Wisconsin, and he loaned it to the kid, and the kid was legally allowed to use the rifle, and they're saying that there's a possibility that because Black bought the gun for the kid, that it was a straw purchase, but they're saying that there's a spot in Wisconsin where someone over the age of 18 can actually buy a teenager a gun before their birthday and hold it for them so that they can get it on their birthday, which his birthday was the 3rd of January of this year. So he's already turned 18 right now, so he can legally have the gun himself.
Oh, okay, got it. So he was 17. I thought he was 18. So he's 17. He'll turn 18 on January 3rd. So happy birthday.
So yeah, everything that looked like there's a spot where they might be able to get some kind of a little toehold in. It's slowly operating on.
They're losing it. We're finding out that Kyle Rittenhouse is famous, that Lynn Wood is his lawyer pro bono, and everybody's watching what Lynn Wood has to say right now. That's for darn sure. So Kyle Rittenhouse they're still poking at the kid, and they are poking, just stick a fork in him. He's done. They're done. Leave him alone. Let it go. Okay, so let's talk. This is back to hunting again. The police are seeking a hunter whose bullet entered a private home. Think about this. So this was in Connecticut. When you fire your gun, what's the 4th rule of gun safety?
Know your target and what's beyond.
Know your target and what's beyond it. So this guy's house was beyond your target.
Say what goes up must come down.
That would be the other part of this. We all heard that on New Year's Eve.
So anyhow, a bullet fired to smash through a window and land inside a resident's home. They're trying to find out who fired the gun. It seems like the needle in the haystack type thing. Although a couple of years ago here in Ohio, somebody had shot a muzzleloader and killed a woman in a horse and buggy up in Amish country. Mm-hmm. And when they announced that they were looking for somebody who did this, someone came forward and said that they were the one that, instead of shooting the muzzleloader into the ground, they shot it into the air. And
it came down, and yeah. So they may find who did this, but they may not. And it goes back to if they've got all these signatures for all these people that are only allowed to be in this land, who all did you give a signature to? Who was in that area? Who potentially could be in that area? What's the ballistics in that?
Going back to the scientific stuff from what we talked about last week about somebody on the beach putting all them bed sheets up to know where a bullet travels.
Where did it go? Where did it come from? Which direction? Where's the ballistics?
If you're interested in that kind of stuff, Hatcher's Notebook is the kind of book you'd like to buy, and it'll keep you entertained for a couple of weeks.
Well, the interesting thing about Hatcher's Notebook is that guy had to figure it all out without a computer, and he's just write it down, tried something, write it down, tried something, write it down, tried something. He spent his life putting this together to where it's now something that you can sit down with your computer and figure out in 10-15 minutes. So, hey, when we come back, more news, more stories, more opinions.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, we are back. And in case you haven't caught this on the news, there is an election that is happening in Georgia. Just in case you might have missed that. There is an election that's happening in Georgia. So if you've got somebody that lives in Georgia, you call them and say, hey, have you voted? Are you voting for your gun rights? Because the future of the Second Amendment really does come down to Georgia. The thing that I've been told by so many people that are on the left, that are even gun people that are on the left, is the fact that, it may be in the platform, and he may have said that, but he really doesn't mean it. Why would it be in the platform? And why is he saying it if he doesn't really mean it? Because at this point, their goal is, the gun grabbers, their goal is make as much inroads as they possibly can. And if they have the presidency, if they have the House, and if they have the Senate, there is no stopping whatever that is. There would be a push. I mean, Joe Biden, frankly, said that if he were on the Supreme Court, he would not have made the same decision on Heller versus DC that the Supreme Court said. He doesn't believe in what they had to say. He wants more restrictions. And we all know where Vice President-elect Harris is, and so she actually signed an amicus brief on Heller that argued that the Second Amendment does not protect an individual right to keep and bear arms. So we know her opinion on Heller itself. And so there is just so much stuff going on. So that, in my opinion, is why we're seeing the ATF on the move. It's the look at me, President-elect, Vice President-elect, look at me. I would like you to notice what the ATF is doing, that the ATF is on your side. Rah, rah, rah. And so I think that there's those kinds of pieces. So know that you need to do everything that you possibly can. If you're in Georgia, vote. If you know someone in Georgia, contact them, communicate with them. We need to hold the Senate so that the pendulum doesn't swing so far to the left that we don't have any gun rights left at the end of this 2-year or 4-year cycle.
Right. Okay. Here's one: bang or bong.
You get a choice. Bang or bong.
Can't have them both. It says that New Jersey is legalizing marijuana, but it's still a federal crime. So you got to make sure that if you want to get a marijuana card or whatever, that's going to make it so you can't buy a gun.
There, and so know that. So in Colorado, there are a variety of other states that have legalized marijuana for recreational use, have legalized marijuana for medicinal use, have given people a card for medical marijuana, or given them permission to buy marijuana in some ways.
I've been to a lot of gun shops lately, and they got signs out front that if you smell like marijuana, they're not going to let you in the shop. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that was never something that was even, they had to even bother saying before. So,
right. I don't. Is it medical is legal in Ohio?
Apparently
there's something. I think there is
for some of that stuff. It's just I'm not a.
But there is a spot on the 4473 that says if you are a habitual user, and if you have the medical marijuana card, that
even if you don't buy any marijuana, they just say that is enough to say that you are a habitual user, and so you can't pass the background check on your 4473. And then also, like say, if you smell like marijuana when you go into the gun shops, they're going to say no, we're not dealing with that
because they're going to address that
and
checkbox.
You can see from that other story, if you smell like marijuana, that they're going to.
They're going to check out the rest of it.
Look at the rest of your car and see what else you got in there. So pay attention.
There's a little bit of all of that. So just
Definitely
know.
We don't profile in here in the United States, huh?
It's about it's about how you smell. How do you smell? You smell like weed, buddy. You reek like weed, and thus
somebody would come out with like a Old Spice or something
that smells like weed, or that smells like anti-weed.
I did maybe neutralize it, or maybe
I think that would be Hoppy's number 9.
If
the
they
air
gave
freshener.
You all of that, if they made everybody smell like it no matter what, then they couldn't.
You couldn't tell.
Right. It's like that's my aftershave.
Oh, I got the weed scented aftershave. I'm going green.
Going green.
I'm going green.
Green New Deal, huh?
I don't know. some of this is I don't know. But Until someone is willing to take on the federal government and make weed not a federal issue, then it's going to be a Second Amendment issue until that point.
It's kind of funny, but it really wasn't a federal issue until in the 20s when the big pharma actually made them make marijuana illegal so that you had to buy their stuff instead of buying marijuana.
And that is Kim Petters, who's been on our show. That is one of the statements that she has made about the fact that there are so many different uses for medical marijuana and applications and what happens with it. But be that as it may, you cannot legally answer the question on the 4473 form if you're under the influence.
You need to get somebody that's a marijuana user in the Congress so that they can change the rules.
Exactly. There you go. Because honestly, I mean, I do not imbibe, but I don't know that I see any huge difference between that and alcohol. Actually, I think that the marijuana user is much more likely to have a brownie and sit down and say, "Hey, man."
I think a lot of it is this: if they had some type of a test to say how high you were, then they could probably do something about it. If it's where they could say, "Well, you've had it in the last couple of days," they can't say exactly how much or whatever.
And I don't know how long they can tell. I mean, because I don't believe there's like a sniff test.
But they can catch you out driving on the car and say that you just got done smoking marijuana and
are you under
high
the influence?
Or whatever. Yeah. Then it's one thing. But if they can't really say for sure, and it could have been hours ago, it could have been days ago, they can't really do anything about it. So that's why they keep it illegal, just to make it easier for them.
To lock down harder because there is no gauge, there is no measurement. They cannot tell.
I don't know a damn thing about marijuana, but there you go. That's my 2 cents.
That's it. Yeah, I don't. Honestly, it's not an area of expertise for me. It's just it is a checkbox on the form, and it is a difference between states' rights and federal rights. And so that's the thing to pay attention to. Is you think that you're perfectly legal within your state, but you're breaking a federal law, and that I don't think is as clear.
They're trying to sneak up on you. You're buying gas filter, oil filter off the internet, and next thing you know, it's just beating on the door of you.
Yeah, but when you buy the gas filter, when you're like, will this gas filter fit my 9mm? That's probably a clue to tech support that it's probably not going on your car. Just saying.
And I don't think you can just go to Napa and get one. I don't think that they have it on their list. So
no, I think you've got to go to I think you're going on the internet. You're going to China. You're going someplace. Somebody's scamming the system. That is it. And don't think that they don't know. Don't think that they don't have. Somebody's job is just to sit and can you imagine? Here's your job. Your job is you sit right down here at this computer, and I want you on the internet looking at all the stuff that they're selling from this point forward.
How many little old grannies or something buy that for their grandson because he's working?
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.